Hi everybody, let's talk about silver and what's been going on in the amateur stock market trading market this week and recently in the past year. So, as you know, silver had kind of a run up last year. It's generally not good for the financial establishment when precious metals go up because that usually means people have less faith in fiat currencies and or that fiat currencies are going down in value against precious metals such as gold and silver. Now, just the last week, somebody posted on Reddit, somebody else posted on 4chan, basically all these corners of the internet, that there's going to be this organized move that retail traders, retail investors are going to pile into silver. Not specifically physical silver, but silver exchange traded funds. And this may actually be kind of effective because recently something called the Reddit Army has been going after certain stocks. They made GameStop go up 1,600%. They basically, people on Reddit and other online forums will just decide to go after a certain stock and make it shoot upwards. And because there's so many retail traders nowadays, that can actually work. Whereas 5 years ago, that probably wouldn't have worked. So the silver thing, well, basically the idea is people will buy silver exchange traded funds or silver ETFs, which is called SLV. It's not actual silver. And the problem, the farce involved with that ETF is that the companies the exchanges don't actually have enough silver to settle the contracts if they needed to. So what they're encouraging people to do is basically buy tons and tons of SLV shares and then demand delivery, so that the exchanges will actually have to deliver all the silver, which they don't have. So then they would have to scramble to buy ridiculous amounts of silver, which would drive the price of silver up, aside from just the price going up from people buying SLV. So it's interesting. Now, another interesting thing, though, is that, well, why is this being allowed to propagate? Because obviously the big tech oligarchs have complete control over websites like Reddit and a lot of other websites on the internet. And the sites they don't have complete control over, they usually fill with paid infiltrators and trolls. So, and they kind of know how to get certain discussions toned down and certain discussions more popular, even more powerful than what the site moderators can do. So it's highly unlikely that this is not desired by the elites. You might wonder why, and let me just remind people that if a bunch of precious metals commodities exchanges were required to buy massive amounts of silver, they would collapse, and a lot of big banks would collapse as well, because they're basically opening up these massively over-leveraged naked short positions against silver. So if silver price actually goes up significantly, they will be annihilated. It would probably trigger a massive market collapse. So why would the global elites want a market collapse? Well, why did they want one last year? Last year they orchestrated one with COVID. It was probably not as bad as they had hoped. Remember, Event 201 saw a massive global financial crisis. When Event 201 was basically the event they used to kind of plan the COVID-19 scare. So that didn't result in as big of a collapse as they had hoped, or maybe it was exactly as they had hoped, and they just want to keep crashing it a bit each year, kind of a long controlled crash. So obviously kind of priming this move in the market by allowing people to coordinate this move and not censoring them off of websites like that might actually end up leading to a market collapse. I don't know if it will be successful, but it's certainly a possibility. And we can't rule out the idea that, okay, this plan is probably approved of by the elites. Now, does that mean you should not buy silver? No, you should just, of course, still buy silver, and the market's still going to collapse no matter what the catalyst is. It's got to happen at some point, because it always does. So anyways, so basically what I've just said, okay, a bunch of people want to buy silver exchange traded funds and hopefully cause the commodities exchanges and big banks to collapse. And then I've also said, well, the rich elites probably want this to happen. Not just because they want to collapse, but also they'll have an easy scapegoat. They can basically blame right-wing Austrian economists. They can blame precious metals. Remember, a lot of the population still wants to wear 2 masks and get vaccinated against coronavirus. So they'll believe literally whatever they're fed on the news. If they're saying on the news that, oh, people who are into precious metals are bad because it undermines the currency and caused this recent market collapse, all this suffering, people will just, over 50% of people will just believe that. So there might be another agenda as well to discredit anyone who believes in sound money. So anyways, so things that are happening recently, I mentioned like the Reddit army and the retail traders. So retail traders, anyone who's not a big institution. So if you download the Robinhood app and start trading on it, you're a retail trader. You're someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You're an amateur. Maybe you took an online course that your friend sent you, but you don't know what you're doing basically. Those kinds of people are piling into the stock market in the last year, and the stock market is shooting upwards. Very unsustainable. one thing that happens at the end of every major stock market bubble, right before it crashes, is institutions start getting out of the market and retail traders start getting in. So big hedge funds and banks are leaving the market. People like you and me, except who don't know what they're doing, are piling into the market using E-Trade and Ameritrade and Robinhood and these other apps. Another thing, as like a sign of the times, another thing that happens when stock markets are shooting upwards is at the very end, retail traders start to lose access to the market. We saw this happen with Bitcoin. In the very early days, everyone was on Mt. Gox. Almost every time price shoots up, exchanges just shut down. There's massive blackouts. Some of that might be on purpose. Some of it might not be. So certainly in the last week, Robinhood has been restricting access to stocks, and that was not their own decision. That was because their clearinghouse forced them to. Restricting people from buying certain stocks. They also had massive outages. So not only do retail traders start to pile in, usually right when things start to crash, they get locked out of their accounts. They're unable to trade. They get, whatever happens, and they just can't access their accounts to sell anymore. It's happened with Bitcoin. It's happened with the stock market many times over the years. So we're seeing some signs that the market is getting too frothy. We're seeing a lot of different signs. Anyways, it'll be interesting to see what happens with silver. It's already gone up massively in the past day or so. It's already up to like $30. They hit a 7-year high. That's really amazing. I first started buying silver when it was $30, and then I watched it go down, then I watched it back up again, bought some when it was cheap. It'll be fun to see what happens with the coming week. Have a great day, folks.